One of the things that I find baffling. So, Godfred and Sky, you read a story today about people stealing from their employers.
Mhm.
And the modus operandi used, I'm not clear whether they were basically taking physical money and hiding the money or they were using digital means. Because one of the selling points for technology has been the fact that it reduces theft. So I'll give you an example. If you go to a filling station to buy petrol and you give that attendee cash,
Mhm.
there are there are things that could happen to the cash and the owner cannot track. But if all the people made payments with Momo, the owner can know from the back end that this is the amount of money made. So you can say the same. So, for example, you go to what they call a grocery shop, what they call in Ghana a provision shop. A lot of the serious ones have scanned the barcode of the product. So when you buy the product, the guy doesn't have to just tell you how much it is. He basically or she picks even it could be bread, it could be anything, puts it on the scanner, and then it tells you the amount
Mhm.
so that the system knows how much is being sold per day. And you can even use that to analyze which of my product move on what day. So you can tell that orange juice goes on Mondays, but on Fridays it's bread that goes. And you can know that the bread goes at 11 o'clock to 3 p.m., whilst the mango juice goes at whatever. So apart from the efficiency argument and the fact that you can generate data from technology, one of the selling points has been that it can reduce theft.
Mhm.
But I get surprised that, when you take the Ghanaian Times and the Daily Guardian Chronicle, it's because sometimes you don't want to do it. Almost every day, people are stealing from their bosses.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, like, and I want to do that. I come to it from two angles. I want to come to it from the technology angle. All right, and I'll come to the Hajia for real issue with Godfred.
Mhm.
But I'm just a bit concerned that if when I listen to Vice President talk about technology, I understand what he says when he says when you digitize, you reduce. So for example, if all payments are made electronically, bribery reduces technically.
Mhm.
Okay, but I'm told there are places where you go, a policeman is even asking you to pay the thing to his mom shamelessly.
Mhm.
All right, I'm told delegates. Some of them say we don't even want you pay us, Momo, we'll take.
Mhm.
So my concern is it that technology is only good in reducing corruption and fraud insofar as the person doesn't want to do it? So does corruption stand a chance when a person is determined to steal? Let me flip the question. If you're a company owner and you sell stuff, to what extent can you use technology? And I'm using technology in a very broad sense. So that even includes, so for example, now we're told that all those who have SIMs, if you don't use a Ghana card to register the SIM will be taken from you. Because somebody can have 20 SIMs and be using the SIM to do fraud. All right. So they're saying register your SIM with a Ghana card. So when the SIM does something, we know it belongs to Sky.
Mhm.
Okay. Is it the way to go to reduce corruption and fraud? Is technology the answer?
Yes, it can be the answer, but it depends on who is using it and for what purpose. So let me give you a typical example. When you are making a payment to, say, Godfred Akoto Boafo,
Mhm,
when you key in your credentials or
mhm,
you observe the appropriate protocols, you make the necessary inputs,
mhm,
you'll be required to state a reference.
mhm,
Now, the purpose of that reference, as I understand it,
mhm.
is for you to say why you are paying Godfred.
Yeah.
So, or for, washing your car, or for fixing your tie, or for supplying you a player from, his club or something like that. So, ideally, that should be the basis upon which because you cannot just be changing, money cannot just be changing hands like
Mhm.
that.
So there has to be a reason for the transaction.
A reason for the transaction. So the money moves from your account to Godfrey's account.
Mhm,
The issue here is whether people are tracking the claims that people like you are making
mhm,
as the basis for moving one money from your account
mhm.
to the other.
All right.
The question is, why did you pay Godfred? Can it be properly established that the basis for paying him is lawful? But you
So
see,
if Godfred is a delegate in Ablekuma West, and I want to share TNT for him, and I send him 500 cedis and I call it TNT, how will the police say that's an electoral bribe?
okay,
Did I self-describe it? So is there an honesty requirement from the sender?
okay, there is that honesty requirement imposed by law generally. The problem is that oftentimes the laws are not triggered until you find yourself in trouble. So over the last 5 years or so, you have been characterizing your payments to all kinds of people with all kinds of taglines or references. Then boom, they find that, oh, you have been allegedly stealing money from your company or your boss, and then you have been funneling the money through mobile money payments to all kinds of people. Now that investigation will now try to track all payments, that suspicious payments that you may have made over the last 5 years, because there is always that data leaving an electronic trail that can be used to.
Are you saying that technology may not prevent, but it eventually they will use it to catch you?
Oh yeah, that's
so in the front end, technology may not be able to prevent theft.
Yeah.
But in the back end, if authorities are determined to find out that something untoward happened.
Yeah, an electronic trail is there.
Okay, so
but in terms of prevention, so for instance, I've been thinking, why is it that we still have fuel attendants in many of our filling stations? If you go to the UK and many other Western countries, you go, you pump the thing into your own tank. You either go into
the shop to then pay.
And then pay, which requires honesty on your part, because you have to go there and pay. If you run away, they will catch you and prosecute you. But some other way of dealing with the problem in some parts of the UK is when you go, you key in before you actually
you key in your card details,
your financial details,
and then you buy the amount.
The amount you want to buy, and then you fetch it.
Dispense.
So the question is, why can't we repeat that in Ghana, so that if, for instance, fuel attendants are stealing their boss's cash, before when you go to a filling station, you have your Zenith Bank card or maybe GCB card. So you put it into the system, you key in how much you want to buy, and then you start, dispensing your thing. Now, in that way, you have removed the human element.
Will Ghanaian trotro drivers or Ghanaian taxi drivers or Ghanaian passengers be willing to self-serve? That's number one. Able to do it without damaging the machine, looking at our level of education and the way we treat public property. The person standing at the fuel station is not just collecting money, he's also protecting the asset, because the society in which we are in, you can just not be sure. So I agree with you that in some areas it's possible to do this at certain times, but looking at the level of fraud in the country, the level of dishonesty, I think that you will be a very brave girl's filling station owner to build a girl at Ajiringano and then say, Charlie, come and self-serve, where there are fraud boys who come and do all kinds of things to manipulate the machine. But hold that thought. What I wanted to ask the listeners was, for those of them who run businesses, I really am interested in whether you've been able to use technology to stop yourself from being I want that
from theft,
from
really,
being I want English is a difficult language. Like
or-
the story we read this morning, how employees connive and conspired to steal from their employer. How can we use technology to stop that? Is it possible? So that's the first point. Now the second point you make, which are very important, you're saying technology may not be able to prevent in the front end the act of fraud, but eventually because again, if somebody comes to your office with a brown envelope and there's no camera, there's no record that he give you the money unless he takes a phone. But if he sends you the money by Momo or sends it to your bank account, so if somebody's been transferring money illegally into your account every week, he sends some amount, they can decide that maybe that guy is a criminal, and then when they say, how come only Sky has been getting the guy's money, so they can say you are doing money laundering. So technology helps on the back end. A lot of the problems with us is that people are stealing things literally on the front end. They are stealing your Tiro, they are stealing your milk powder, they are stealing things and they are selling.
Yesterday they do somebody's kinky.
A few days ago.
So if you're listening, let's know how you use technology to deal with pilfering in your organization. I'm really interested to know this as issue one. Issue number two, this Hajia for Real story appears to have generated a lot of interest not just in social but traditional media. And apparently she's been in this system for a while. I was under the wrong impression that it's like a new emerging social media. But if I talk a lot, people say Aloski again doesn't know anything. So I didn't want to say much. So I just pretended I know everything about it. You get my point.